Hi everyone. We're going to be doing a animal guide reading today. And animal guides are influential animals in your life, or it could be a specific animal that you've had a long time connection with. So a lot of times I always will tell clients to look at their favorite animal as they were a child growing up. What animal were you obsessed with? What animal were you wanting to buy the stuffed animals of, and dreaming of having as a pet? Was it a wild animal? Was it a mythical creature? Or was it a domesticated animal already? Everyone's is different. And those have influences as well. But as you go through your journey in life, other animals will start to come up and make appearances in the form of, you're always seeing them on TV, you're always seeing a picture of them or a statue. If they are, insects or whatever, you will see them flying around. You'll notice them, in certain seasons. And it's really interesting when you really tap in and pay close attention to, how often are you noticing a specific creature and what is the meaning behind this particular animal. So the way that the animal guide reading is done is I will pull I'm pulling for 5 elements. The main guide, which is going to give the energy of your where you're at right now, your path right now. And then we have for all 4 elements, we have earth, which is your body, fire, which is your heart. Let me see, body, no, heart. So mind is your fire. Heart is your cups or the water. My mind is everywhere. I'm sorry. And then air is soul. So body, heart, mind, soul is what we're going to be pulling for. And I made sure that they corresponded with the elements. I just wanted to get all like, make the connection there. But, basically that's what we're going to be tapping into today. So I'm going to be working with Wild Unknown as well as the animal spirit, to kind of give the impression of which animal we're talking about here. It's mainly used for a visual. A lot of times for this reading, my clients will come back and tell me that a specific animal that did come up for them in the reading was actually one that they were aligned with, or it was one that they started to see a lot after their reading. So it's kind of interesting to see how that plays out. But if you're not, or if you feel like you're not connected to the animal that pops up, use its symbolism and its meaning as just some insight for you. And speaking of that, let me get the guidebook for this deck. It has a lot of really, really good insight that I feel will be beneficial. So we'll have that out there just in case. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's start with your main guide first. So we have the hyena, Wheel of Fortune, the Four of Pentacles, the Tower. Beautiful. Okay, so right now, energy-wise, there's a lot of energy flowing around you. We'll tap into the hyena after, but I feel like you're going to be hitting a time where you're going to be going through quite a lot of change. And that's because you've got Wheel of Fortune and Tower mixed together. And this change, it's a significant shift in your life, is going to open the doors. It's going to open the floodgates for much needed lessons to be learned. And that's usually what happens with the Wheel of Fortune card, is like you get the ball rolling, you get a shift going. It's a karma card. So it's like kind of the energies that you were putting forth into the world prior to this happening. It's kind of like it's payback, and it's, for some people it's a very abundant payback. So it's like a change that takes place to invite really good things happening and coming forth for you. Or it could be the payback where, you know, if you weren't being so nice to people and you weren't living such a wholesome life, that the payback that is coming back to you is more of a lesson. So it's something to look out for. It's something definitely that will be changing your world this coming year. As far as when, you have a 4 card, or the 4 of Pentacle, which 4 can signify 4 months from now, or in April. So I would say, you know, maybe within the next couple months, you'll start seeing big shifts taking place. You'll start seeing big things happening. How are you going to handle these big changes, these situations? And in general, how do you handle stressful, you know, big shifts in life? Well, with the hyena card coming up as the main guide. Hyenas are very, they're known for what they're laughing, or the way that they laugh, or the sounds that they make, which often mimics laughter. So I feel like you like to lighten the mood. You have a very nervous laugh to you, perhaps, or you you know, when you get anxious and anxiety starts to kind of tap into you, you lighten the mood with a joke. Maybe you are a little bit too much of a jokester in more rather important times. So maybe when it calls for you to be more serious, you will be, people will look at you as like, well, how come you're so this, or well, how could you make a joke out of this? Like, you know, so I feel like you can maybe shift to that kind of a personality. Let's see what else the hyena has to say. Humor, wit, and sarcasm. The hyena personality is a jokester and a crowd pleaser, but below the surface, there's an unfulfilled dreams yet to be realized. So maybe that is what this shift in the Wheel of Fortune is. It's perhaps you've been a part of everyone else's big changes around you. Maybe you have a lot of friends that are currently going through, you know, maybe they're getting married, maybe they're moving out, having kids, you know, maybe you're at that age where a lot of shifts have started to take place in other people's lives. And for once now, it's going to actually start to happen to you. Where did I leave off? When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships, or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? What would happen if you took your goals seriously? So, like I was saying, the hyena kind of like likes to lighten up the mood, not be as serious. But I feel like this particular change in your life is going to require you to maybe not so much tap into the way that the hyena deals with stress, and be a little bit more serious and take it a little bit more seriously. Not saying that you never did before, but just saying that, you know, serious times sometimes call for you to be serious so that other people could take you seriously as well. So that is what's popping up as the overall energy here. And let's see how that sets the tone for everything else. So next we're going to have, let's do mind. Beautiful. So we have the air element, we have the owl for mind, and we have Daughter of Cups, Son of Swords, and the Six of Wands. Okay. So as far as the mind goes, I'm going to say, one, that you are easily influenced by the matters of your heart versus your mind. So that is definitely where you trip up a little bit. And I say that because you have a cup and a sword suit. So I feel like the cup is your more calm side, okay? So your heart, matters of your heart, the way that you, if you were to really trust in your heart, your personality changes a bit. You are more relaxed, you are more calm, and at peace. Whereas when you are dealing with matters of the mind or your thoughts, you feel a bit more pressured, you feel more rushed, you feel more the need for doing excessive action right away. And so I could definitely see the two, like the differences in the both the personality and your actions with both cards. So I do feel like you are often at odds with your mind versus your heart, and finding that like that central, that medium, that calmness between the two is hard for you at times. So, and I also feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with the owl. The owl is known for its intellect. It is known for wisdom. It's also, owls can be seen as very fortunate, so they're fortune bringers. But they are mostly known for wisdom and having, a lot of experience under your belt. And maybe this can symbolize, a past, whether it was in your present or a past life, of lots of struggles and lots of hardships, which has brought you a lot of old wise wisdom at an early age in your life. So that's another thing to think about. I love with the Six of Wands card here that we're showing, like, even though there's a lot of shit going on around you or within you, and since we're talking about the mind, this could be your thoughts. So I feel like you have very harsh thoughts at times. You have a difficult time, like I said, with finding the medium between your following your heart and following your mind or your rationality versus like your intuitive sense. And I feel like that's, there's a lot of I look at this as kind of like a lot of trash there, a lot that needs to be cleaned out. In your minds. I feel like you've been holding on to a lot of stuff from the past, perhaps, that needs to just go. You are no longer dealing with that area of your life anymore, so why hold on to those thoughts and those memories? But you like to kind of cover it up with a rainbow, right? You like to cover it up and show that you were happy. Same energy as the hyena that we pulled earlier, where the hyena is very like, they'll make a joke when things are supposed to be serious. When people are showing a lot of emotion, the hyena is kind of giggling because they're nervous. They don't know how else to hide their feelings. So same kind of meaning, where you will place a band-aid over situations that maybe require a bit more than just a band-aid. And so it's become natural for you. So as far as your thoughts go, I would say you are very harsh and hard on yourself, thinking wise, but you have a lot of wisdom and a lot to show for it. So I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit for that. And I feel like the blame game, because I'm feeling like Spirit is saying, like, you put on a lot of blame on yourself, or you give yourself the guilt trip. And that's just not right. You shouldn't be so hard on yourself, because you have and you deserve to embrace, the wisdom that you have carried on from the past, and holding yourself accountable for other people's faults is never a good thing. So I feel like this is the year of lessons learned for you. I feel like you're going to get a lot of like the karma coming back to you. Not all negative, but I feel it will be a lesson for you. And like I said, within the next 4 months or so, you'll probably start seeing all of that unravel. So that's just something to look into later on as we go. Next we have, let's do the heart. So the heart, we have the Nightingale. A lot of birds in your reading. We have Ace of Pentacles. We have the Eight of Swords and the Three of Swords. So yeah, remember how I was saying like your mind and your heart are at odds? There's your sword suits again. And these both reveal kind of, especially the Three of Swords, reveals entrapment. It reveals you like not being able to think freely. It's kind of like you can't have one without the other, but they don't get along. So you're very much like at a lot of odds with your reality versus your intuitiveness. And do you trust your heart, or do you take the rational step in a lot of the decisions that you have to make? So kind of like you're torn between the two. The Eight of Swords is kind of indicating you're, in that process, in that cocoon phase, perhaps, that you are ready for a transformation. So this can be that card that indicates that, yeah, this will be the year that all of that takes place, that you will start to shift and really become another version of yourself that is necessary. So I do see that as a very much of a card of importance. I also see it as with the swords all kind of like facing upwards, as if they want to pierce the cocoon, as a sign of warning that your thoughts are rather negative at times, and can be toxic. So these can be induced by certain people that you might have around you. This could be, stresses that are in your life, whether it's a certain job or it is a certain responsibility that you have. If you have bills and whatnot, maybe you allow these things to get to you and keep you from transforming. So that's also something to think about too, especially if you've been wanting this change for a long time, but you've been holding back because of other stuff or other people. This might be another reason why the card is popping up, and also another reason why I would feel that Wheel of Fortune is like, you got the Wheel of Fortune and the Tower card to show this is something that has to take place. It's forcing its way through your life, maybe because on its own or on your own you were not doing it. So it's kind of like the universe is saying, I am fulfilling this path for you. And then of course we have the Ace of Pentacles, which is oddly similar to the Wheel of Fortune card. But the Ace of Pentacles is a new beginning in your creation of abundance. This is your new beginnings in the material values in your life, money, your home, your everything that is physical, and also planting the seeds, because of an ace is also the very beginning of your path and of that journey. So really planting some new seeds for this growth, when you do transform into this next phase, this next version of yourself, it's very important that you do not stay in the same environment. And I feel like that's what the Ace of Pentacles is kind of revealing to you, is that when you go through this transformation, it's important that you don't stay in the same environment, that you continue to grow and branch out. And then we have the Nightingale. Nightingale is a singing bird expression. So I'm feeling more of like that throat chakra to express yourself. So that's how I'm reading it. But let's see what the guidebook wants to say. Nightingale, we have the fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. Nightingale is with us when we write, compose, or especially when we sing. It reminds us that music heals the deepest wounds. This card indicates a need to open the bridge between heart and the voice. I love it. So like I was saying again, like you're with the bridge between your heart and your mind, but maybe your mind is, your ability to express yourself is basically like what this card is saying. So a lot of expressing yourself with the cocoon phase, with the growth and the transformation, 100%. Lots of transformation there. It's just a matter of, are you willing to do it? And are you going to allow yourself to go through that change? I forgot to do body, so we should have done body before the heart. So let's do body now. And we have zebra, beautiful, with the 5 of Cups, justice, and the sun. Okay, so I'm definitely seeing with the body, there's a lot of hesitation. A lot of hesitation to invite happiness into your life. And I feel like you go through that whole, do I deserve it or do I not deserve it? I feel like when you have really good things happening for you in your life, it's like a good flow. You start to become very weary of it, as if you think, this is too much of a good thing. Am I really deserving of what's happening here? Or you might tell yourself, there's so many good things happening, something bad must be taking place soon. So that's what I'm seeing with the collective of the cards. Let's talk about the zebra though. Okay. Because I'm feeling like this, the fact that we have the triangle at its head, like its third eye, and it's colorful. I'm really feeling like that's a time for you to tap in spiritually, intuitively. But let's see what the message here is. Eccentric, creative, and visionary. Zebras are most precious of gems. They are young at heart, well cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life. Being in the company of a zebra personality is not only delight, but it also opens our mind. This card may be a hint to pack your bags. Zebras like to contribute to the global health through environmental or volunteer work. Be prepared, their potent magic is contagious, and you may soon find yourself in a faraway land, expanding your worldview while having a blast. So they are kind of like those creatures of wanting to explore and be very expansive, which is interesting for your body, because this is the portion that we're reading of is your body. So to have the influence of the zebra in the body is kind of telling you in the physical, it's time for you to take that move. And I'm really feeling called to say that, especially if you are going through a cocoon phase, like I said, where you are transforming. I feel you will have to change your environment and the people in your environment. Is it a toxic situation? Is it a toxic environment? Can you move from it? Can you switch, and this could be moving home-wise, or this could be maybe a job. But either way, I'm feeling like the zebra card is coming up to influence you to take the journey and to take that adventure, because they are very adventurous creatures. And I'm feeling like that's like how I was saying, that there's always something that either you allow or that is blocking you from happiness. And so perhaps moving or, changing your environment a little bit will allow the flow to take place and break free from those blocks that you have. That's really interesting. That's an interesting one, to be honest. I feel like that's going to be another lesson for you this year, is the lesson of removing yourself from toxic situations and removing yourself from just certain maybe friendship dynamics or certain responsibilities that you have that no longer align with you and that are no longer necessary. But you have still been doing it because it's always been expected of you. So there's a lot to think about there, and I feel like if you are taking notes on your own reading, that you would write a note down about that, is that maybe the idea of you switching it up and moving, or removing yourself from other toxic situations and people is very necessary for this growth that you're going to be going through again. And it'll be a growth that you will notice, because tower energy is very hard to miss. So like I said, it's a major change. It is a major shift in someone's life. And it usually brings a big lesson to be learned, but sometimes it's a fruitful lesson, and other times it is a lesson of like, okay, I've learned my lesson, now I have to do the footsteps to improve. So it just depends on what it turns out to be. Okay, so your final animal that we're going to talk about is the soul, which is the air element. So your soul. So we have the earthworm. I love it. The earthworm is like one of my favorite cards from that deck. Son of Cups, Judgment, and the Five of Pentacles. So definitely with a soul, you have that soul of being more of the martyr, like you have that martyr complex, which is also associated heavily with Pisces. But you do have kind of like that martyr complex that I'm feeling, where it's like you will take the hard lessons in replacement for other people. So you'll spare other people's pain, and you will be the one to endure it all for everyone. As you'll be the one to collect and deal with everybody else's what they should be feeling pain for. But I feel like you're tired of it. Like, I feel like you know that is how you are, and it's like you want to set yourself free. And I'm really feeling that strongly with the Judgment card. Usually Judgment is the card that makes me think of like you are hard on yourself thought-wise, but I'm really seeing Judgment as a sign of the need for freedom. It's kind of like you just want to be set free from all of this garbage, okay? So spirit-wise, when we're talking about your spirit or your spiritual path, maybe finally taking the cup, and being very protective of your own spirituality and your growth. really tapping in to see what is really important to you. Earthworm energy. Let's see what earthworm is. The earthworm is a shy, hesitant, reluctant to share inner vision. So yeah, spiritually, it's like you are afraid to share what's going on in your life. You would rather curl up and hide in your hole. But there's a lot going on. And I feel like, again, because of that, you really close up, and there's a sign that you don't want to be that person anymore. You want to be free. You want to stand out. You want to, get out of that martyr complex. You want to free yourself from feeling like you can't share what's going on with you spiritually. The earthworm indicates a newbie or novice working to establish confidence in a new field. So definitely, if this is your spiritual journey, then earthworm is signifying you will be new at this path. It is everything that you will be experiencing will be for the first time, that kind of thing. This card is a reminder not to be intimidated or lose hope. Mastery takes time, and you are on the right track. So don't be influenced by other people. Don't be afraid by other people's spiritual paths. If they are like further along than you are, you will get there. It's going to take a little bit more time for you. But that's a sweet card to receive. I think that that's amazing for you, especially if you're going through this transformation journey. For sure, 100%, your spiritual path is going to really start to come out. And you're going to see a lot of changes there. But I do feel that this is for the purpose of setting yourself free, because I feel like you've been locked in, caged down, held down for a while now. So that's really nice to see there. And basically that concludes your animal guide reading. So thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. And anyone who's still watching, this is the animal guide reading. It is available in my shop. This particular client didn't ask a specific question, but you can if you wanted to. So I just kind of read it as a general, whatever was popping up, I read. But if you have a specific question, you could totally do that. If you would like your video, if you order the video reading, if you would like it to be private, let me know. I can always do private readings, or make them private so that only you can see it. But yeah, I look forward to, more readings for you guys and to my clients. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.